Hey, what's up guys? PowerPup97 here with my first My Little Pony episode review. I'm going to be reviewing the first episode on my list, which is my first request. And that happens to be... Oh, what a coincidence. Spike at your service. Why am I not surprised? I guess it's because that's the most recent episode. Well, that's good because I've just seen the episode, so it's now fresh in my head. So let's begin. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Season 3, Episode 9, Spike at Your Service. This episode is about, as you may have guessed, Spike, who is dedicating his life to being Applejack's servant because she saved his life. Now then, time for a recap. The episode starts off with Twilight Sparkle about to read a ton of books over the weekend, and she's letting Spike have the weekend off. So Spike leaves the library and winds up chasing a runaway hot air balloon because he wants to take a ride in it. Pretty awkward scene, if you ask me. When Spike finally catches up with the balloon, he finds himself in the middle of the Everfree Forest and gets ambushed by a pack of timber wolves. Now, let me talk a little bit about the timber wolves. I think this species might have appeared once before in the series, but here's what I seem to know about timber wolves. Apparently they are giant wolves made out of, well, timber, and they cannot die. Once you attack them, they fall apart, but then after a few seconds they magically reassemble. Kind of like the dry bones from the Mario games. Anyway, Applejack appears out of nowhere and saves Spike from the Timberwolves. And now Spike claims that he is going to be Applejack's servant for life, as it is part of his Dragon Code. Where this whole Dragon Code thing came from, I have no idea. But it's apparently how Spike's life works. Now, I know there are a lot of fans out there who like to view Applejack and Spike as a plausible couple, and there was a little bit of evidence shown in Secret of My Excess, but this episode shows a closer bonding between those two. I was a little disappointed because I was expecting to see Spike ride on AJ's back in this episode, but that didn't happen. Speaking of relationships, there's a lot of controversy over the relationship between Spike and Twilight. I view their relationship as a brother-sister relationship. Twilight does seem a lot like an older sister to Spike, but they're like a brother and sister who get along with each other, and I really like that. Part of the reason why Twilight is my favorite pony is because of the friendship connection between her and Spike. You gotta love their chemistry. However, other people have viewed their relationship to be more of a mother-son relationship. And this episode kind of shows some evidence in that. In the scene where Spike goes to tell Twilight that he's leaving her to be with Applejack and she's too focused on her reading, yeah, you know that? It's like, Twilight, I'm leaving you forever. That's typical for moms, like when they're busy and they try to pretend they're listening to their kids. The brilliance of this show. Now, on this particular series, I'm not a big fan of Day in the Limelight episodes, if you know what I mean, and fortunately this wasn't one of them. All the main ponies played a good role in this episode, and some even had some big scenes. And not to mention, I finally get to see the episode where Pinky says, "I'll wear this mustache." Excuse me. So anyway, Applejack rounds up all the other ponies and they all discuss a plot to get Spike out of AJ's fur. They come up with a plan to have it look like Applejack is stuck on a rock and a timber wolf is coming after her. I gotta say, it was pretty interesting how the ponies pulled it off, for the most part. But I thought it would have been funnier if the other 5 ponies, like, combined themselves and wore a timber wolf costume. That would have been so rich. You know what I mean, kind of like in Dragon Quest when they dressed up as the dragon. Anyway. However, I gotta say that Applejack did a piss-poor job trying to convince Spike. I noticed a lot of in cartoons when characters try to set a stage or get somebody's attention and they talk in that obvious phony voice. It's like instead of, "Help, save me," it's like, "Oh, help, please come save me." I hate that. So, naturally, Spike doesn't buy it, but then a real Timberwolf comes out and Applejack really gets into a tight spot. Now, at first, Spike doesn't buy this either, but then he saves her, and they kill off the Timberwolf. Then Spike decides to return to living with Twilight, and all is right in Ponyville once again. So, final verdict, this was a really good episode. I think this is probably my favorite episode of this season so far. So, that concludes my episode review. If you have a My Little Pony episode that you would like me to review, just post it down there in the comments box, or send me a private message. The next episode I'm going to be reviewing is A Canterlot Wedding. Until then, Powerpuff 97 away!